part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
The 1-1 pitch. A swing and a drive to deep right. Away back. Goal!
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Guardians of the Land MLB Podcast. I am your host, John Telich. Good to be on board with you and also keeping track of your Cleveland Guardians. You know, April, it is the cruelest of months. It begins on the 1st, as you all know, April Fools, and the weather is so unpredictable in Northeast Ohio. It's a cruel month because we can have 4 seasons in the span of 24 hours. And for Cleveland's Major League Baseball team, how April goes, well, it doesn't necessarily predict future fortunes. In fact, in 2022, with a bunch of very young major leaguers making their debuts, the Guardians were 9-12 in that month. They would trail the Twins by 3, and then we all know what happened as that season went along. They won their division and had an outstanding season. Well, we're just one game into the month of May now, as we record this on Tuesday afternoon, May the 2nd. It's the middle of the day. And the Guardians, thanks to a wild comeback in the 9th inning last night, are now 14-15 on the season. They are 3 games back of those same Minnesota Twins. So a lot can happen. So also, let's get to that amazing 9th inning rally that would help the good guys post a 3-2 victory against New York at Yankee Stadium. It was a wild affair. There was a possibility that game was going to be an hour and 50 minutes long. It was going so fast, and the Guardian bats were doing him all kinds of favors as he breezed through them. I think one time I heard a knife through butter, and that was kind of like the whole situation for him. He had that 2-0 lead, and he was very efficient. 4 of his 8 1/3 innings, he only had 10 pitches in those. So he was looking great until the 9th inning. Gives up a single with 1 out, and Aaron Boone, much to the dismay of the fans in New York, would lift him. In comes the bullpen, and all kinds of you-know-what broke loose against the New York Yankees as the Guardians would pounce. The closer, Clay Holmes, he had a fielding error, and then Jose Ramirez would have a single. That was huge for the good guys. Then Josh Naylor, who certainly has had his share of disappointments in the month of April, trying to get it together. He would come through with a seeing eye single, and all of a sudden 2-run score, and we are all knotted at 2 apiece. The good guys have a chance to win this one. Holmes was sent packing. Zunino with a walk, scoring Ramirez with a go-ahead run. And then Emmanuel Clase came in and had an uneventful 9th inning, a 1-2-3 9th inning, and we saw a stunned crowd as the Guardians win another one of those 1-run affairs by the count of 3-2. You know, while April of 2022 gave us the Stephen Kwan MLB debut that resulted in him nearly being named the American League Rookie of the Year, we also won a Gold Glove that year. Well, this April we got 2 outstanding Major League debuts from young pitchers, a lefty in Logan Allen and a righty in Tanner Bibee. And boy, did they deliver when they had their shots to be Major League pitchers. There's a wave coming in this franchise of young arms, and Logan Allen, the unassuming one, is the first to get that start, and he dazzled on April the 23rd against the Marlins. He struck out 8 in 6 innings on the hill. He got ahead in the count. He looked super poised, and he pitched very, very well as he did the right thing for the home team to pick up the victory. Afterwards, he spoke with Andre Knott of our good friends over at Bally Sports.
I got to ask this question first. Thanks, boys. It didn't seem like you were nervous at all. Am I wrong, or is that just how you roll?
You're definitely wrong. I try to do my best to keep it covered up, so I did a good job today. And the nerves are there, but as soon as I got out there, they all flushed out, and it was back to just playing baseball.
For you, you've pitched for a long time. What is the biggest difference? And I saw you walked out. You kind of looked around to take it all in. What helped you settle in?
Like I said earlier, just having so many guys that I played with before, being in this dugout, in this clubhouse, being very encouraging, talking to some of the other starters, very encouraging about just going out there and doing my thing. So, just going out there and being Logan Allen. So I was glad to do that today.
I don't know how often you listen to Tito when he talks to the media. Don't. But he talked about when you coming up, you're the next wave of pitchers that the Guardians are bringing up or working with. No pressure, but how does that feel that this is how this team thinks of you?
Oh, that means the world. I'm glad they think that highly of me, and we got a lot of great guys in this organization that are going to be able to help this team win games. So I'm glad that we can start that today and we can get the first one under the belt.
I know your parents were here, and I know your brothers played a big part in your life. What will you do with that first strikeout ball?
That's got to go to Mom. That's got to go to Mom.
You talk about your own teammates and the guys that you've played with, whether it be Columbus, Akron. What was some of the advice some of those guys gave you to prepare for this?
Probably the best advice I got was probably from Quantrill. He said, if it plays in AAA, it's going to play here. Don't try to do anything too much.
Allen's 8 strikeouts helped him join the likes of Herb Score, Louis Tiant, Tristan McKenzie, and 2 others as Cleveland pitchers that struck out 8 or more batters in their major league debut. He just gave up 1 run. This is just great to see because the aforementioned Mr. Tristan McKenzie dealing with his injury situation, not the least of which also alongside Aaron Savali, who's dealing with his. So if they can be back in about a month or so and the youngsters are here, we'll see how that settles things down in the rotation. But Allen's debut was fantastic, and Tanner Bibee was next up, and we'll get to that. But first, let's take a break here for a few words on the Guardians of the Land MLB Podcast right here on the Press Play Podcast Network.
What's up, everyone? I'm Holly Wetzel.
And I'm Tyrus Powell.
And we are your hosts of The Orange is Oranger, a Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network. We give you all the dog pound coverage that you'll need to get you through the regular season, hopeful postseason, and I'd say off-season, Tyrus, but is there really ever an off-season for this team?
Thankfully for our podcast, Holly, there really never is when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. Don't miss our breakdown of each week's matchup, game recaps, and any and all news out of Berea to feed your Browns appetite. As we know, Holly, dogs gotta eat.
Yes, they do. So hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode of the Orange is Oranger, Cleveland Browns podcast on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. Guardians of the Land MLB Podcast. A few days later, the highly touted Tanner Bibee on the hill at Progressive Field. It was a sunny day, but very, very brisk. It was an afternoon affair on a Wednesday afternoon. The Guardians had already dropped 2 straight to the Colorado Rockies. So this youngster was not only making his major league debut, it was hoped that he would help stop that little slip and maybe push them on to a victory before they went on the road. And he showed that 94 to 97 mile an hour fastball, and in 5 2/3 innings, just outstanding. He kept the Rockies off balance. He allowed 6 hits on the day, just that 1 run, and he struck out 8. He did not walk a batter, so he joined the ranks of those aforementioned individuals who have had 8 or more strikeouts in their major league debuts. He was simply outstanding. Afterwards, Dre Knott talking to Tanner, and Dre asked Tanner how much Logan Allen's experience helped him in his major league debut.
It makes it way easier. I mean, I've been rooming with Logan this entire year so far in Columbus. It made it a lot easier to have a friend up here, someone I really know, to kind of teach me through the ropes and kind of just help me out through this process.
Well, you guys had the same amount of strikeouts.
Yeah.
When you're out there, do you realize that you had a chance to better him by 1?
It kind of crossed my mind towards the end, but he got 6 innings and I didn't.
Yeah.
So we tied, but he got me on innings, and he was great.
All right, for us that we haven't watched you pitch in a big league game or watched you pitch, it seemed like fastball command maybe not there, but you were able to rely on your other pitches. Is that true, and how did you feel that worked?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the fastball command was absolutely perfect, but I think it was good enough just to establish it and kind of be able to throw my breaking stuff kind of wherever I wanted to. So I think it was just enough today, something to work on next time.
Terry Francona has seen many kids come and go. You could maybe say that he would become blasé about it, but he certainly wasn't that when he was reacting to how well the youngster pitched in the game. The standouts, of course, as we all know, when they come to the big leagues, the standouts usually have an opportunity to stay. The guys like Tristan McKenzie have made their mark. And of course, we've seen what Shane Bieber was able to do once he made his major league debut as a Cy Young already in his clutches, if you will. Well, after Bibee did the same thing that Allen did, that is, pitched the Guardians to their only win of a series, the future Hall of Fame manager Francona weighed in on what Tanner was able to do on the Hill.
I always tell you guys, and I believe it, that the first game's not going to define who they are. But it's still exciting to see. I mean, a kid's pitching his first major league game. It only happens once. And to see him show the poise and the competitiveness in 3 pitches, 4 pitches, it does get exciting. I don't think there's any reason to hide it.
Logan Allen had his second major league start on the road April the 30th in Boston's famed Fenway Park against Chris Sale. And over 5 innings on the Hill, the lefty would once again fan 8 batters, so 16 strikeouts so far in his very young major league career. He would allow 2 runs on the Hill. He took the loss, but afterwards, well, I'll tell you what, when you look at highlights or even listen to clips of what he did on the Hill, it sounds impressive what he did. And here's how it sounded on that night with Underwood and Manning doing the calling.
Today, hitters are going to take probably as much time as they can to get in. Look at that. Strikes him out, 1 down. Oh, came back with another good off-speed pitch and strikes him out. His second strikeout today, 2 down in the inning. Swing and a miss. Logan Allen strikes out Rafael Devers. That's his 3rd strikeout here this afternoon, 1 down. Tell you what, Logan Allen's finding it.
You mentioned the numbers against lefties he had in the minors. And you can tell why he gives lefties problems.
Boy, Logan Allen. Hot knife through butter. Logan Allen looking for a strikeout here. And he gets it. Gallagher will have to throw to first. He does. 1 down. 6th strikeout of the game for Logan Allen. Struck him out looking. That was a really good low fastball inside corner. And that's 7 strikeouts for Logan Allen. Struck him out looking at a fastball. Dotted the outside corner.
As we mentioned before, Bibee's second major league start is slated for later tonight. This is Tuesday, May the 2nd, as I record. That game, of course, tonight in New York, game 2 of the series against the Bronx Bombers. It's going to take some time to settle the rotation for the Guardians. And you wonder what is next for Zach Plesac. His ERA is way up there. He has struggled. It's been highly documented. We are not really certain just how much of a future he has in the organization, but we'll wait and see on that. And then after the series in New York, there is a long homestand for the Guardians. The Twins, who lead the division, come to Progressive Field for a series Friday through Sunday. Hopefully the weather cooperates. Then the Tigers come on Monday through Wednesday of next week, followed by a Friday through Sunday affair with the Angels as they come from the West Coast. And as I mentioned, the Guardians are 3 games behind the Twins. The Tigers are 3 games back of Cleveland. And the Chicago White Sox, who were figured to be somewhere in the hunt, have really struggled early in this season. Not sure if they'll be able to right the ship, as it were. And, of course, it's been a very violent and wild year so far for the Guardians, with just under 30 games under their belts, with a 4-game win streak followed by a 3-game losing streak. They've had both direct ends of the spectrum, if you will. And 7 of their wins this year, that's half the total of the 14 victories to date, are in those 1-run affairs. We'll see how well they can play down the stretch as things settle down this season. And I will say something right now that I guarantee has been said about 1 billion times in the last so many years. The Guardians are very, very fortunate to be in the division that they are in. End of statement. Many areas to look at. The power so far isn't even enough to turn on a toaster, much less a coffee maker. But they can sure run the bases. They are second in the league in steals. So will they blossom like the flowers do here in May? Many questions, and we will be here for all of the answers on the podcast. Please make sure you subscribe, like, and review other pods on the Press Play Podcast Network. We have a literal cornucopia, if you will, of podcasts to choose from. So hopefully you'll get a chance to check out some of the other ones, whether it's the Sable Brothers or Adam the Bull Talking TV. Always fun to hear his podcast. You've got Red Guy and Rhoda and so much more to listen to. We hope you give them a sampling and hang around and be one of the gang with the Press Play Podcast Network. And thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. And I will catch up with you the next time around on the next edition of the Guardians of the Land MLB Podcast. We'll see you later.